Before we get started with the main part of the video, I wanted to show you a neat modification I made to the debarker for my Wood-Mizer LT40. Watch this. On, off. Welcome back, anybody. Very long time ago, I noticed that my debarker right here on my mill was not accurate. So I did a short video on how to get it adjusted for vertical, up and down. And come to find out, I don't think that was the correct thing, or the correct fix. I've noticed, and other people have noticed, that depending on where this unit is, whether it's pivoted out, pivoted in, whatever, the cutter wheel on the debarker sometimes lines up with the blade, sometimes it doesn't. Now, obviously the blade itself isn't changing, but the cutter wheel is on the debarker. So what we're going to do in this video is try to get the thing properly adjusted. I already know what the issue is, but I'm going to kind of drag you along with me. So here we go. As you probably know, the wheel spins on the debarker, and the carbide bits on here remove the bark. And the thing pivots in and out like this. It's on a motor. And it's supposed to be the same distance from the center of the bits down to the bunk, no matter where it is in this arc. Well, the problem is it's not. So watch this. Using my precision micrometer, we're going to pivot this thing out as far as it'll go. I think you can see it well enough to see what we're doing. And we take this precision micrometer, and as you can see, well, you can't see, but oh, I know what I can do. I know what I can do. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. You're mobile, and you're going to get a better and bird's eye view. So anyway, back to where we were. The height from this disc to the bunks should be the same no matter where this is in its arc. So I've got this precision micrometer over here, and it's on a piece of cherry, which is really very straight. Now, I don't know exactly if you can see this, but we're up. The micrometer is about 1/4 of an inch above the disc. So let's pivot all the way over to the other side. Unfortunately, I've got to run back and forth side to side. Okay, I'm back over here. So now let's pivot toward the drive side, and I'm going to say right now we're about halfway through, and now we're high by about 1/8 of an inch. Now let's go all the way over to the drive side, way over here, and our micrometer is down 1/8 of an inch. So we've got at least 3/8 of an inch difference in height from one side of the arc to the other side. Now, just so you know, this is not really a micrometer, it's a combination square, but it works good enough. So let's get up to where the adjustment bolts are and see what we can do to get this thing adjusted. Okay, we're looking down, or you're looking down on the debarker. We've got the support arm. Comes over here. And the debarker arm is held on by 4 bolts, one here, one under here, and 2 down here. This is what I'm going to call the primary bolt. I want to keep this tight when I'm making the adjustments. This is a pivot point, and right here, this unit right there is what we use to rotate the entire bracket right here. So what I've done is I take the 3 bolts down here, this corner, upper left corner, and upper right corner, if you want to call it that, and loosen the bolts and then retighten them so they're just making contact, but relatively tight, but not too tight. Then you can loosen the nuts on both sides here, swivel or twist this bracket left and right. You may have to go onto the arm itself to force it a little bit. Take your measurements back and forth, side to side like I've done, and you should be able to get it done within at least a couple of weeks of steady work. It was a royal pain in the butt, but I'm going to be quite pleased with the results. I pivoted the debarker all the way to the outside here, and I haven't touched the position of the combination square, but I can tell you that I have changed the position of the debarker, because instead of being about 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch low, it's close to 1/2 an inch. So let's get out the 9/16 and see what we can do to pivot the top to your left. So I've got this loose here, so we're just going to tighten up that nut. What I'm doing is lifting up on the debarker to get everything kind of repositioned. So where we are now is combination square is higher by roughly 3/16, give or take. Go to the other side, and I'll pivot debarker all the way over. So much easier when you're using the motor on it. Okay, we're almost dead on. Now we're 3/4 of an inch high over on this end. So we are making headway. It's the wrong direction, but we're making headway. Okay, I've spent, half hour to an hour seesawing back and forth, side to side, trying to get this thing adjusted. So here's where we are right now. The top of the ruler is relatively flush with the top of the disc. Let's go on the other side now. Put that over here. We're pivoted. Put this right on here. And we're off maybe 32nd, 16th of an inch, something like that. And considering all the time I've spent on this, I am ecstatic with the results. So there we are. The debarker is mounted to the swivel arm on this aluminum plate. There's 4 bolts here, here, and here for tightening it up. And on top, there's a bolt right here for height adjustment, and one over here on the opposite side. Okay, first thing we're going to do is loosen the lock nuts themselves. Okay, now we're going to get down on the ground here and raise the jack bolt. Raise the jack bolt. And I think we're pretty close. So we'll tighten up the lock nut. And retighten the other side. Oh, okay, we're good. Okay, now we loosen all of the bolts that hold everything together. And theoretically, this thing should just drop right down and everybody's nice and happy. So let's see if I can do this without having my head in the way. Yeah, this will work much better over here. Okay, we're down on the jack bolts. And I'll tell you, it's okay, but it really needs to be just it went down a little too much. So let's loosen the lock nuts and raise the jack bolts just a skosh. Unfortunately, when I was making the adjustments to the jack bolts, I couldn't see clearly what was happening. So let's loosen that and loosen the other side. Good. So we'll give it a half a turn. And over here, we'll give this one half a turn. And we're looking better. Let's do this again, one more half turn. And a half turn over here. We're very close. So we'll do this in half turn increments. Now to me that looks like it's dead nuts. So we'll tighten this thing up. Oop, gotta do this the right way. So far, and we're still good there. So let's tighten up our bolts on the mounting plate. And it should be okay. So you see what you're doing. One more. Very good. And now we're centered. So there we go. Let's, I guess, give you a close-up of everything here. So this is where we are with the combination square and the carbide tooth. You can see the square is roughly in the center of the tooth. So now let's bring over the blade and see how close the blade is to the, and There's our square and blade. As you can see, the blade is just a touch above the square, but because our cutter is looks like maybe 3/8 of an inch wide, I don't think we're going to have an issue with it. So let's see what happens when we put a log on here and actually start to mill it.